r/AskReddit. What is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? I slammed the brakes once because I saw a deer in my peripheral vision. Upon closer inspection, it was a mounted deer head on a stick in the middle of the woods. Slammed the gas after I realized that. I was on I-70 in Colorado going towards Utah. Pulled over at a gas station at 8 p.m. Fueling up, I noticed a couple of attractive women pumping gas. On the other side of the pump was the man in his late 40s, just staring at these young women without notice of anything else going on around him. I walk inside to go grab some food for the next few hours of driving. When I come out, I see both the younger women's car and the older man's truck are gone. I decided to hang out at the gas station for the next hour to catch a little sleep before hitting the road again. After driving for a few hours, I was speeding heavy. I pull over at yet another gas station. The young women are there getting gas and eating some food on a picnic table. Looked like they had been there for a while. I didn't see any sign or the man in the truck, but can't say I was looking very hard for it. Well, here is where it got creepy as hell. Can't say I didn't stare at them a bit. I mean, they were good looking women. As I'm watching them leave, I see in the next parking lot over some headlights turn on, and it's the same man as before. He leaves when the women leave once again. Okay, that's a bit weird, but could just be a coincidence as there weren't many places to pull over. I leave a few minutes later and catch up to them. Now this guy's riding their ass with his high beams on. I decided to slow down and stay a distance behind the truck. 10 minutes or so later, the women pull over once again to most likely get this guy off their ass. With a sign of relief, the truck keeps going and I continue on my way. About 1 mile down the road, the guy just pulls off to the side of the highway. So I pull off a mile or so down the road again. Sure enough, the women drive by and the guy is still following them. At this point, we are out in the middle of nowhere and too many coincidences have happened. I called the cops to alert them, and about 15 minutes the cops pulled the guy over. I could have just seen too many horror movies that started like this and overreacted, but you never know. Better safe than sorry. It was a good call to alert the police. Even if it was a coincidence, no harm would have been done to the guy, and if it wasn't, you might have just saved those two girls' lives. We appreciate you. A lonely abandoned shack with a bunch of arrows pointing to it, saying come in. A dead, butchered horse laying in the road. Someone had completely skinned and butchered a horse, took the choice pieces of meat, and just dumped it on the highway. I almost crashed into it. WTF. I got off on my exit, and the whole road was covered in blood. I put on my brights and saw a bisected body of a large animal. It just made me so sad. This is like a weekly occurrence on me highways. It terrified me. I have never seen a large animal torn in half. I was fetching someone from his workplace. Had to go through some fields, and some parts of the road were dark. I saw a thin long object wiggling at an upright position at the side of the road in front of me. Totally freaked me out. I thought I was finally experiencing something extraordinary. As I got closer, I realized it was a tail of a cow. It must have escaped from some field and was hanging around at the side of the road. The cow itself was black, the tail slightly lighter in color. That's why I only saw the tail moving first without seeing the whole cow first. While traveling east just outside Flagstaff, Arizona around midnight, I was in the fast lane doing about 80 miles per hour. There was a bend in the road and you could see the headlights of the westbound lanes filter in between the trees. It was funny because I thought the lights kinda looked like they were coming at me. Then they really were. I screamed obscenities and jerked the wheel just in time to let a speeding wrong way driver fly by me in the lane I was just in. After skidding to a stop in the shoulder, I called the cops to report it. Could you describe the vehicle? Yes, it was a dark blur with headlights. A hitchhiker almost leaping out in front of my car on a dark forest road late at night. The woman literally popped out of nowhere. Had to drift into the oncoming lane. Luckily there was no one else, and painted median there. Read a police report that she ended up getting hit minutes after I drove by. She was intoxicated and running from the police. Pretty freaking creepy. I hope she's alright. I can't imagine what the driver that hit her was thinking. Frogs ducking everywhere. Like hundreds of frogs all over the road. Damn it Moses. Damn it Kermit. Driving to work at 4:30 am and seeing a cyclist with his head split open and brains on the road. My friend and I were walking home at about 2 am one night about 15 years ago. We see this car going in the opposite direction, clearly going way past the speed limit. As he's passing us, we see him go up on the curb and hit someone walking on the opposite sidewalk, decapitating them. This was before we had cell phones and everything was closed, because it was such a tiny town. We ran as fast as we could to the nearest house, about 15-20 minutes away, and banged on their door until they opened it, so we could call the cops. I still see it in my sleep sometimes. Did they catch the driver? I'm not 100% sure. I've been trying to forget about it and block every detail out of my mind. A body in the ditch. Thought it was a deer as I approached, and then my brain was like, deer don't wear boots. I was shaking as I did a U-turn to make sure the person was alive. They were just drunk and some people stopped as well, and emergency was called. I was so shaken up by it. I used to deliver pizza and often had deliveries right at midnight when we closed. One time, late at night, I'm driving back to the store through a small neighborhood. Up ahead I see something. It's perfectly spherical bright/shiny thing, just hovering about 6 feet off the ground. Not moving at all. I pull up very slowly. Still doesn't move. Still can't comprehend what I'm looking at. Just this shiny hovering orb in the road at midnight. At this point my curiosity has overridden my fear. I'm the guy in the horror movie who dies first, because I just gotta know. Either I die, or I get a cool story, right? So I hop out of the car and slowly walk up to it. I'm right in front of it and still can't understand what I'm seeing. So I reach out and touch it. It's a balloon. One of those foil birthday balloons with the street lights shining on it, making it look weird out of context in the middle of the night on an empty road. Dad was driving at night, and I was looking out the window and saw 2 red pinpricks in the cornfield, and it followed us. I told my dad about it and he said, in the most calm casual tone for this situation, "Those are cornfield demons. Stay in the car and you'll be okay." Cue me freaking the hell out when he got out of the car not too long after to check a tire before getting back in. I'm still not sure if that was an actual thing or if he was using a situation to his advantage to teach me to not do anything stupid like that at night. Either ways, it worked, and I still have no idea what those 2 pinpricks were. Your dad is epic. I don't know if this is really scary, but it definitely freaked me out for a moment. Driving home from grad lab for a couple hours of sleep, about 4 in the morning. Longish time sensitive experiment, not dawn yet, still pitch black. Turn a corner, and suddenly, someone runs into the street right in front of my car, and stops. I stop. I wait. They don't move. Cautiously, I try to drive around. They scream, run up and slam their hands on the hood of my car. With them so close, I realize they are totally naked and filthy. They stare at me for a moment, then proceeds to run in wide circles, kinda listing to one side then the other, in front of my car. After about 2 minutes of this, he lists hard to one side, far enough I felt safe quickly driving around them, very wide, on the other side, that was now open. Meth, man. The superhero we don't need, and the one we didn't ask for. Meth man. Faster than a speeding cop. More awake than anyone else at 3:48 am. Meth man. Help. Someone has run off with my purse. Meth man grabs the purse from the thief and continues running off at twice the speed. Meth man. I was driving on the expressway around 2 am and a semi hit a car, and it went into the median. The car basically folded into itself and was beyond smashed. I can't imagine that person survived. It was incredibly sad and terrifying to see. I was driving down the highway during the middle of the afternoon and watched a guy get out of a minivan parked on the side of the road and run out in front of an 18-wheeler. He got hit and died. I assume on impact. Fudge freaking sucked. I went back to the office and asked if I could go home early. Oh, I've got the perfect thing. Driving home one night from my fiance's house. Normal night on the Florida highway. It's pretty dark, not too many lights. Cruising at around 75 headed over a slight hill, just big enough that you can't see the other side. Get to the top and start making my way down the hill, and very suddenly in my headlight view I get a giant construction vehicle with all of its lights turned off and parked in the left lane of the highway. I really, seriously, pray to God that no one hit that parked construction vehicle. It was one of the ones that digs up dirt, I think, on the highway that day. I very narrowly avoided smacking right into the back of that thing. I don't know how the Cherokee I was driving at the time handled the sharp turn I made into the right lane to avoid the vehicle. Needless to say, I was very nearly dead. Immediately called Florida Highway Patrol and told them about it. I hope they got to it before someone got hurt, and I really hope someone at that construction company lost their job, because they could have killed multiple people. Normal night on the Florida highway. Terrifying. There are no normal nights on the Florida highway. I was driving home late one night and was driving on a dark stretch of the highway. Suddenly a body was in front of me. I tried to swerve out of the way, but it was too late. My bumper was hanging on the ground. The guy died, and I went to a nearby gas station not knowing what to do. Was 18. When the tow truck pulled my car up onto it, there were a bunch of blood and guts on the bottom. I couldn't get that image out of my head. Apparently a drunk driver with 5 dwees had hit a guy on the motorcycle prior. 4 years after I had serious depression and thought about it every night before sleep. That's awful. I can't imagine that. So sorry. I was a very young woman driving home after clubbing, about 2 AM through Hollywood. I was pulling up to a stop sign on Cahuenga, about 3 blocks from Hollywood Boulevard, when a bunch of guys begin to casually stroll onto the crosswalk, coming from both sides. I hit the gas and ran the stop sign without even thinking. They cursed and ran after me, but those boys were ready to jack me. My instincts took over before I even realized what was happening. Yo, that is some serious crap. A 6-foot kangaroo standing in the middle of a pitch black road at 3 AM in the morning, missed it by a bee's pecker. My story is similar. I was driving along the highway at night, and in the right hand lane was a giant freaking moose crossing the highway. He was taller than my car, and had some huge freaking antlers. That's definitely a moose, big and antlery. This guy must be a museologist. A closed Waffle House. Dear God, I'm calling bullcrap. The only people to have seen a closed Waffle House are hurricane survivors and the undead. Hurricane survivors haven't even seen it. When a disaster is coming, Waffle House sends their regular employees to evacuation, unless they just want to stay, and a team of corporate managers come in and run the store. They'll order a big truck of supplies to come right before the storm hits. They bring down the Waffle House catering truck, generators, and disaster supplies. If the store gets too damaged to run, they move everything to the catering truck and serve out of that. They'll shut down the other area stores, but one store or the catering truck is always running to feed emergency services and survivors. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they charge anything during these situations. 3 AM on a lonely road, and I was the passenger. An old man only wearing a bra, panties and high heels was casually walking down the road. My friend who was driving didn't believe me and went back around. Sure enough, he saw him, and we were like, WTF. Gotta pay the bills somehow. Thanks for watching, subscribe and have a wonderful day, you internet people.